everyone, happy spring equinox. I'm Heather here at Umi Nami Farm, and we are in the wettest part of the spring. Outside, the fields are flooded. Well, I shouldn't say flooded. They're really soppy and wet. And so it's going to be a little while before we can do a lot of soil prep and a lot of planting, but there are some spaces dry enough to work with, and we're working with them. We are still continuing to transplant our weekly greens and turnips. And we've also got our peas in the ground. Now, we had this cold snap back in February, and at the same time, our hotbed, which I'll show you later, stopped working properly. And so we didn't have the heat that we needed to help the seeds germinate in that cold part of the year. And so what you see here is all the good seedlings we were able to get out of that batch. This is about a quarter of what we would normally plant. So peas are on their way, but the early peas will not be as much as we would normally have because we've only got a quarter of what we would normally plant. We do have another batch on the way, but they're obviously going to be a lot slower. Speaking about the hotbed, though, why don't we go there next and take a look and see what's happening? All right, here we are in the lean-to greenhouse, and what we've got here is 3 different beds that we use. This is simply a shelf. It's just a shelf. And then these 2, it's basically, it's not really a sandbox, but there's like gravel under here. And on top of the gravel, we've got a heating cable, which we've attached to wire mesh to make it stay in a regular pattern. And this is something that we renewed just this last year. We, like I was saying earlier, we had the old heating cable just wasn't working properly anymore. We weren't getting the heat that we needed. And so we invested in a few new heating cables so that we could cover this bed and also this bed completely and have the heat that we need. This has been kind of a bit of a theme this spring. There's a lot of, I guess, what's the right word? Crop aids, I guess, that have been kind of aging out. Things like plastic mulch that we've used for more than a decade using the same thing. And now it's getting to the point where probably a good idea to move on because we don't want to leave little bits of plastic in the soil and stuff like that. So investing in new plastic mulch. Likewise, our row cover is like this white stuff you see here, commonly called Reme. Generic name is floating row cover. We're able to reuse a lot of them still, but you know, again, we're trying to renew our stocks, and so that we'll not need to spend as much time dealing with covers that have holes in them and stuff like this when it gets busy in the summertime. But anyways, that's just kind of an ongoing process, but this year in particular, we've needed to do a lot of renewal like that. Let's talk, though, about new seedlings. So, what do we have here? Here we have zucchinis. This is super exciting. Zucchinis are usually the first of our so-called fruit vegetables that will hopefully be ready. The space you might have seen in your box programs the little bunches of like pale green brassica shoots. Those are actually from or the Napa cabbage. When they're finished producing the main head, they make these little side shoots that we can harvest as the little brassica shoots. We're still harvesting there, so it's taking time before we can clean up. But when we do, these guys are going in, and that's exciting. We also have here some green beans, although these are not green, they're pink actually. This is a variety called Tanya's Pink, which produces actually over a fairly long window. And so we grow them as transplants, put them in the greenhouse, and can usually harvest them, you know, until mid-late summer. And the pods are actually this beautiful pink color, which makes them a lot easier to find and harvest when you're trying to look for them. So these guys will probably be ready to transplant 1 more week-ish kind of a thing. The zucchinis, maybe another, depending on the weather, a week, more than a week maybe. We'll see how that goes. Down here, these guys are a lot smaller, but what you see here is these are actually little green peppers. We probably won't have any fruit to show for them until July, I'm guessing, kind of a thing. But this is where it all starts. We plant them in these little square packs. We actually call them obento bako because it looks kind of like a little lunchbox kit. But anyways, we plant them 8 to 10 seeds in one of these little boxes, and then Madoka, who's the nursery manager, will take them out and pot them up to individual pots later so that we can grow larger seedlings for later transplanting. Likewise, here we have some eggplants coming up. Um, Here we have another variety of our shito coming up as well. The shito is the long Japanese green person. Over here, tomatoes coming up as well. And so all of those kind of like tomato related fruiting crops right now are being started on the hotbed basically. We have a few other things too. There's our next batch of cabbages and our spring Swiss chard over here. These Swiss chard also will get potted up into 6 packs to grow into larger seedlings for transplanting. And these guys here, right now these are cabbages. Right now they only have, oh sorry, these are actually broccoli. These are cabbages. Anyways, cabbages and broccolis, when they start to get their true leaves, and when we start to see the roots poking out the bottom, which we don't yet, you only just, oh, this is dry. We only just see the soil right now. So when they have their roots poking out the bottom, and when they've got some true leaves on them, transplant these guys. So before we sign out, I want to show you the first batch of cabbages we transplanted a couple weeks ago. This is the second iteration. I want to show you the first iteration. So one of the spring crops that I know I really look forward to, and many of you will really look forward to, is our spring cabbages. This row is our first iteration of spring cabbages. These ones here are actually broccolis. It's a variety called BC 1611 that makes lots of small side shoots that are really tasty. And then through the rest of the row, which we can take a quick look at here, we have our Japanese bred tender cabbages, which are really nice both for cooking and for raw eating. That's these guys here. So as you can see, they're still only at the, okay, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of five true leaf stage. But the thing is, the bigger they get, the bigger they can get. And so we'll be seeing increasing growth, we hope, over the coming weeks. Cabbages, maybe early May. We'll see how it goes, depending how fast they grow. But yeah, we're certainly looking forward to having more of these spring crops. Right now is very much a season of transition. Our daikon, which as I've said before, overwintered really well this year, is done. We harvested the last carrot last week. We harvested the last burdock root last week. And so we're definitely in a season where it's greens, greens, and more greens. But we're enjoying the greens, and we hope you're enjoying the greens too. And we're working to get those spring and summer crops to you. I'm going to keep it short and sweet today just because there's a million things to do, but we'll try to do another update soon and show you a bit more of what's going on. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to next time. Thanks. Bye now.